The grand doors to the celestial ballroom were a masterpiece of iridescent crystal, shimmering under the light of 3 moons. Inside, the gathered nobility of the 1,000-star Concord moved in a graceful, whispering kaleidoscope of silks, feathers, and chitinous splendor. From a shadowed antechamber, she watched them, her hands resting on the polished grips of her mobility chair. Her own gown, a deep blue like the twilight sea, was exquisite, yet it felt like a costume. The music, a complex lattice of harmonic rings, seemed to twist away from her, as did the glances of the ambassadors and scions. An invitation was a formality. Her presence was a diplomatic footnote. With a silent command, her chair glided forward, its anti-grav hum a quiet counterpoint to the music. She entered the ballroom. Conversations did not cease, but they softened, curving around her like water, avoiding a stone. Eyes, multifaceted and solid-colored alike, flickered toward her and then away, quick and polite. No one approached. The dance of politics and alliance continued on the vast floor, and she was its stationary moon. A sudden, dense ache began to pulse behind her temples, a sensory warning. The lights were too bright, the layered perfumes too cloying, the din of 100 conversations too sharp. She needed quiet, a moment to recalibrate her neural dampeners. She turned her chair, its movement smooth and precise, and exited through a smaller, plain door she hoped led to a refreshment alcove. It did not. This room was nothing like the opulence outside. It was small, utilitarian, and warm. The walls were a soft gray, the lighting a gentle golden glow from a single portable lantern on a low table. The air smelled of ozone, lubricant, and something earthy and warm. Components and tools were neatly arranged on a bench, and in the center of the room, a figure was bent over the open chest plate of a large service drone, its inner mechanisms exposed. He looked up as she entered. He was a human, one of the newer species to the Concord, noted for their stubborn physicality and puzzling emotional range. His formal attire was discarded over a chair, and he worked in a simple gray undershirt, his sleeves rolled up. His face showed surprise, then a quick, assessing calm. "Hello," he said, his voice a low, pleasant rumble in the quiet room. "Can I help you?" She froze, her protocols for apology and withdrawal failing. I am sorry. I was seeking a moment of quiet. I have entered incorrectly." She moved to leave, the orientation of her chair shifting. "Wait," he said, not moving from his spot by the drone. "You found it. Quiet, I mean. It's plenty quiet in here. And I could use a consultant, if you're not in a hurry." Her hands stilled on the controls. "A consultant?" He gestured to the drone's innards. "This motivator coupling is fighting me. The manual says it should slide in with a click, but the click is not clicking. You look like someone who knows how things fit together." He said it plainly, without subtext. There was no pity in his gaze, only an open, practical curiosity. Slowly, she guided her chair closer. She saw the issue immediately. A secondary alignment pin was bent. "There," she said, pointing a slender, 3-jointed finger. "The pin is deformed. It is creating friction." The human leaned in, squinting. "Ah, you have excellent eyes. Would you hold this housing steady for me? 2 hands are not quite enough here." It was a simple request, devoid of ceremony. She reached out, her hands steady, and held the component as he applied a delicate tool. With a faint snick, the coupling slid home. He grinned, a genuine expression that crinkled the corners of his eyes. "Teamwork. Thank you." He did not return immediately to his work. Instead, he pulled over a stool and sat, picking up a cloth to wipe his hands. "The music out there is beautiful," he said, "but it feels like being inside a complex math problem. I prefer problems I can get my hands on." "You are not enjoying the ball?" she asked, the question feeling strangely bold. I am, he conceded. In small doses, my people. We need to recharge. Too much glitter, and I start to miss dirt and straightforward talk. He looked at her, his head tilted slightly. You are the princess from the Cygnus system, yes? The one who redesigned their orbital dock networks. The efficiency gains were impressive. She blinked, her sensory frills lifting in involuntary surprise. He had not identified her by her family, her title, or the well-publicized incident that had resulted in her chair. He knew her work. You are familiar with orbital engineering? I was on a deep cycle freighter before I joined the diplomatic course, he said. A good dock is the difference between a bonus and a bankruptcy. Your nested, sequential approach to cargo haulers. It was elegant. Saved us a lot of time. They talked. He spoke of ships and stars, of the tactile joy of repair, of the human love for spaces that felt lived in. She spoke of geometries and efficiencies, of the frustration of theoretical models meeting imperfect reality. He listened, his attention complete. He offered her a cup of tea from a small heater, a dark, fragrant brew from his homeworld. It was bracingly bitter, then sweet. Meanwhile, in the ballroom, her absence had been noted. A concerned flutter moved through her retinue. Her primary attendant, a dignified elder, grew anxious. She had vanished. Searches began in the logical places, the terraces, the lounges, the meditation pods. After nearly an hour, the attendant, driven by worry, opened the door to the maintenance wing. He peered into the first room, and his posture stiffened. There she was, the princess of the Cygnus system, sitting in a pool of warm light with a human mechanic. They were leaning over a data slate, sketching something, a tangle of engineering notations and human-style shorthand surrounding a design for a modified mobility chair thruster. Her laugh, a sound he had not heard in years, like chimes in a breeze, filled the small space. The human looked up first. He saw the attendant in the doorway, his expression a mixture of relief and profound disapproval. The human stood slowly, giving a slight, respectful nod. The princess followed his gaze. The reality of her position, the weight of protocol, settled back upon her. The warmth of the room seemed to cool. I must go, she said, her voice soft. Of course, the human said. He walked to his discarded jacket and drew something from an inner pocket. It was not a communication card or a formal chip. It was a simple, physical token, an old-fashioned wrench made of polished steel, small enough to fit in a palm. He placed it on the bench beside her. A consultant's fee, he said, and an open invitation. My workshop on the human sector station, Earth 7, is always quiet, and my couplings frequently do not click. She took the cool metal object, its weight solid and reassuring. Thank you, she said, and the words meant for more than the tool. She guided her chair past the attendant, who fell in behind her, a silent storm of propriety. As they moved back toward the crystal light and the swirling music, the attendant spoke softly. Your Highness, that was. Highly irregular. That room was not for guests. That species, they are unpredictable. Their ways are crude. She did not look back, her fingers curled around the wrench in her lap. The symphonic math of the ballroom music washed over her, but now she could hear a simpler rhythm underneath, a steady, persistent beat. She had entered the wrong room, a place of tools and truth. And amidst a galaxy of correct, distant politeness, only the human, thinking nothing of it, had simply invited her to stay. Yes, she said finally, her voice clear and carrying a new certainty. It was irregular, and it was the correct room after all.